Welcome back. Now, I want to get straight into it with my next special guest to talk all things Trump, Biden's blunders, and hypocrisy from the media. And guess what? There is no one better to do that with than Fox News contributor and Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump. Lara, thanks so much for joining us on the U.S. Report tonight. Now, we speak a lot on this show about the media and the left's campaign to smear Donald Trump with anything they've got. And I mean, having the last name Trump must not be easy for you at times. Tell us a little bit what it's like for your family to deal with that.
Well, you know, I think there was a very steep learning curve initially. None of us fully appreciated, I don't think, what we were getting into when my father-in-law decided to run for president and announced in 2015. And very quickly, you know, things all changed. Don't forget that Donald Trump was sort of a darling of the media before he came down the escalator in Trump Tower and declared he was running for president as a Republican. And then all bets were off. Then it was no holds barred. They fully attacked him. And I think they thought they were going to take him down there very early on before any of the primaries in the 2016 campaign. Of course, we know what happened. He ultimately became president. And I think a lot of us in our family maybe very naively believed that once he was elected and became inaugurated as president of the United States, then people would all come together, especially folks in the mainstream media here in America, and say, this is our president, and if he's successful, then the country will be successful, so let's champion him. Oh, how wrong we were, of course. Like, I hear you laughing because it's a little ridiculous now in retrospect to see what has happened. But look, we all take it with a grain of salt. You know, they only attack people, I think, oftentimes who they fear, and they certainly fear Donald Trump. They're afraid he's going to run in 2024, and they're afraid if he runs, he will win. And I think they know, at least in the D.C. swamp, that the jig is up. He has their number. He doesn't play their game. He's not one of them. And it is terrifying to have someone who I think a lot of people still view as an outsider, although he was president one time, coming in and really exposing a lot of them. And so I think we're all sadly kind of used to it in our family.
Sure.
And, you know, you just turn off your Google alerts and you don't check them that often. But we all know that we're fighting for the right thing, and as is my father-in-law, every single day. And we hold our heads high and we sleep well at night because we know the truth.
Well, good on you. But, you know, the thing is, too, I think what we're seeing with this is that the media is losing some of their power because while they run a protection racket for the Democrats and Joe Biden, Americans are seeing the borders out of control, crime, especially in Democrat-run cities, out of control. I saw a poll where 1 out of 4 Americans are going to cancel Thanksgiving because of inflation. Are you seeing Americans really opening their eyes to what's happening beyond what the media, the mainstream media, is force-feeding them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think people's trust in the media, sadly, is at an all-time low here in America, and with good reason, because we've been lied to often by our media, people who call themselves journalists, and you have to put that in air quotes now, because it is such a joke sometimes. These people are obviously political operatives, and they're pushing forward their political ideology, and they don't really care what the truth is oftentimes. But yes, James, I think you're exactly right. What's happening here in America is, sadly, we've had to get here because Joe Biden and the Democrats have really turned the country in the wrong direction, and people's lives have taken a turn for the worse here. But people's eyes, I think, as you're saying, have been open. You cannot look the other way when you can't pay your grocery bill. You can't ignore the high gas prices. You can't ignore the crime. And let me tell you, it is everywhere in America. I was a week ago in New York, in a nice part of New York, and I looked out the window of the car I was in, and I saw a lady get mugged and her purse taken. I mean, it is everywhere. It is rampant. It is scary, and you can't hide these things. So as much as they would like to gloss it over in the mainstream media, people see it because they feel it in their everyday lives. They know that they are worse off now than they were the day that Joe Biden and the Democrats took control of our country. And I think you're going to see that resoundingly when people go vote on November 8th in our midterm elections, because I think they're fed up. I think they've had it. I think they know the only way that we get our country back and get back on the right track is to vote for Republicans. And I truly believe that's what we're going to see happen in these midterms.
Yeah, and Lara, you know, you mentioned New York. A lot of viewers know I'm from New York originally. That's my hometown, and what is playing out there is absolutely shocking. Bring back Rudy Giuliani, I say. But, you know, on that question of what people are voting for, we're also seeing Joe Biden disintegrating in front of our eyes. You know, every day, every week, there seems to be some gaffe that can't just be explained by he's not great with words on the stump. Are people really concerned now that the president is not, you know, fully all there?
I mean, I don't know how you can't be concerned. And, you know, we tried to call this out, so many of us, during the campaign in 2020. And if you dared acknowledge that the Joe Biden, that even the few times we saw him doing an ice cream photo op and he came out of the basement during the campaign in 2020, those few times you saw him, he wasn't the same Joe Biden of a couple of years prior. You would get attacked and you would get accused of making fun of him or making fun of his stutter or something along those lines. It was outrageous. And the truth is, we now see how dangerous it really is when you don't have the most powerful person in the world, the President of the United States, with all of his capacities and all of his faculties about him. I think people in America are very concerned. This is a guy who very infrequently is in front of a camera. When he is on a teleprompter. We know that his wife, Jill Biden, was upset the other day because his staffers didn't pull him away from the media quickly enough for her liking. So everyone can see it. It is an embarrassment for America. It weakens America. And because it weakens America, it weakens our allies across the world. It is a dangerous place for us to exist with a commander-in-chief who people really don't have any confidence in. And more than that, it makes us wonder, I think, as Americans, if Joe Biden really isn't all there, who is calling the shots in the White House? Who is running things? Who is the person making these major decisions that obviously have very real and detrimental implications for all of us across the country? That is the million-dollar question, and I wish I could answer that for us.
Well, I've got one more million-dollar question for you. I wouldn't be a journalist if I didn't ask you. Can you give us any hints? What will your father-in-law be doing about 2024?
Oh my gosh, well, I wish that I could break some news here, but it is not my news to break if it is to be broken, so I will leave that up to him. Here's what I can tell you. The country has never needed Donald Trump back more than we do right now, and I hear it from people everywhere I go. I hear it when I go to the drugstore. I hear it when I go on an airplane. I hear it in a restaurant. People know that under my father-in-law's leadership, America was booming. Our economy was soaring to new heights. People were all working, and things were functioning in an incredible way here in America. Obviously, we have gone in the opposite direction. So I, of all people, hope that he announces he's running for president in 2024. I'll be one of the first people to get out there and vote for him. You can bet on that. But unfortunately, James, I can't help you out with any major news tonight. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Always looking for a scoop here on the U.S. Report. Lara Trump, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us tonight.
You got it. Thanks for having me.